Welcome, children. Come into the light. All are welcome. All welcome.
Hi. Welcome to the Matt Sager Podcast. Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. I'm sorry, you caught me doing my poltergeist impression because I was trying to get some of the fear out of my system. I know. What you gotta do is, when you're scared, see, you can't just go cold turkey, start singing Disney songs. That does not bring comfort. What you gotta do is sort of taper off, like if you were on a heavy steroid or something. Taper off the fear. Like if you're on maximum fear, go from that to, say, The Exorcist, from there to Poltergeist, because I have experienced what I believe is best called a fear overdose. It arrived innocently enough in hey, here's the brand new final trailer for the upcoming new Pet Sematary film. The adaptation, of course, of the amazing, horrific, terrifying Stephen King novel. One that, if you've only ever seen the 1989 film Pet Sematary, you might not be aware of just how chilling the whole concept really is. How it just gets to you from the very first page and it's like claws up your spine. It's really disturbing. And I watched this trailer today, and I have to be honest, at first blush, and apparently many critics are saying the same thing, so this is not one of those deceptive trailers. It looks scarier than the book, and that is what people are describing it as just so scary, like beyond Stephen King scary, like the source material taken to a darker place. And again, if you've read the book, that's a place so dark, makes you question so much about your life and that of your loved ones. And me being an animal lover, the proud father of two beautiful gray tabbies, it kind of hits me where I live. But the pets in the Pet misspelled cemetery are only a very small fraction of the ultimate horror. This looks like it on fear steroids. Just bone chilling. I can't wait. I know, it's weird. We do love to be scared. It is fun. But I'm going to have my stamina, my strength, my endurance for fear put to the test on April 5th. That is when Pet Sematary premieres in theaters. And I'm going to have to go. I just will. No way am I not seeing the most terrifying, what people are calling the best Stephen King adaptation. They're saying it may not be the best, but it stands shoulder to shoulder alongside the best. That is to say, it is tied with whatever you consider your best Stephen King movie. Many people would say The Shining. I'm probably one of them, although it's a little weird because as someone who's such a big Stephen King fan, I perhaps have lost a bit of my innocence and know too much. For instance, I know that Stephen King loathes The Shining, hates it with a burning passion. And he's not without his reasons. This was two very different creators butting heads over the property of one of those creators, that creator being Stephen King. And yet the guy who had the ultimate directorial reins of The Shining was Stanley Kubrick. And King has told this story over and over about how the moment they met, it became clear that they were almost exactly opposite forces, that their instincts were different, their beliefs were different, their concepts of horror and the supernatural were different. And so as collaborators go in bringing your film to the big screen, Kubrick brought a lot of prestige with him, just based on his name alone. And the movie was great, but it did take a great big shit all over Stephen King's book. Characters that die, live. Characters that live, die. The film's ending is nearly the exact diametrical opposite of the way the book ends. So my point is, Pet Sematary looks absolutely terrifying in this latest trailer, the final trailer. I'll attach a link to it in the description for tonight's podcast. I'll also attach a link to the brand new, last night on this show, I urged you to be wary, to exercise caution when looking at TV spots, ads, and interviews, and of course, toys surrounding, in particular, just about any movie, but especially Avengers Endgame. And what a surprise, brand new trailer drops today, and I know that the Russo brothers have been saying that they're putting lots of red herrings in their various trailers. That said, this trailer, while being a trailer in every respect, the video is actually described as a special look at Avengers Endgame. That is markedly different than a trailer, and it might mean that it was cut by another group of people. Like if the Russos have control over the way theatrical trailers are cut, and probably even TV spots. But a special look, that could be anyone at Marvel Comics, Marvel Corporate, Disney Corporate. And if that's the case, look, it's an amazing trailer. It will get you more excited than you were for Avengers Endgame. But if it is not one of these Russo brothers kind of misdirecting, disinformation kind of spots, then it may very well run the risk of giving away too much of the movie. I may well now know too much about Avengers Endgame. Not so much that I won't love and enjoy it, but there's stuff about the plot that you don't want to be revealed to you, or to have it laid out so clearly that if you just connect one dot to the other, look really close and maybe pause and zoom here and there, there. Now, granted, you just may not be as obsessive as I am. You may just watch it and move on with your life. But I was left with the sensation that, I think I know a couple things. I've thought that about a couple of the posters for Avengers Endgame too. So, ultimately, we won't know this until we see it. And I will attach a link to the trailer that I'm talking about in the description for tonight's podcast. But I would advise you, tread lightly. Not only when watching this trailer, but as we draw ever more near to the release of Avengers Endgame. There's going to be spoilers all over the place, journalists forgetting for a moment on deadline and going, just as so-and-so died at the end of Endgame. What? That is a real risk, and I believe it is now a risk that has seeped into the actual marketing from Marvel for the movie. But it looks great, so click, but again, do so at your own risk. Speaking of risky things to do with the Avengers, you know how people love to say, you're going to break the internet. You just broke the internet. Well, the Avengers, the monstrous, gigantic team that they are now, basically including the Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, and very soon, I would imagine, some mutants who were tied up in contract negotiations over at Fox up until Disney went and bought the place. So it is a large team, a huge movie, and the final installment of what Kevin Feige has called the Infinity Saga, a 22-movie, 10 years in the making, 3 phases of Marvel Cinematic Universe. What lies ahead after this, who knows? But as to the movie itself, the final film in the saga, good luck getting tickets. And you know what? Maybe don't even try today, because right after this special look appeared on YouTube, just about everything on the internet that you can use to buy movie tickets went down. AMC went down, Fandango went down, various other movie purchasing websites and services and apps just stopped working. Some of them may be working at the time you hear this podcast, maybe even all of them, but Endgame broke the internet. Now, of course, you could do something very dramatic, very old-fashioned, and walk to a movie theater and pre-purchase a ticket. I know it seems kind of extreme, but you can still do that, especially because you can't really crash them. I mean, you could riot and stampede, but I would really hope that we're all better than that. And as for AMC and Fandango, these people are in a fight for their lives. At first, the existential threat was Netflix. But already, the Apple streaming service has been announced. Disney Plus will be out before long. DC Universe is adding new content all the time. Theaters are really in jeopardy right now. And yet, the argument you hear from theater companies most often is something like this. It's the dang internet and it's the darn Netflix. But you know what? The thing about the internet that's great is you can use it to sell tickets. And to that end, if you're getting the biggest blockbuster of the last several decades, and it's drawing closer and closer, and the promotional materials are flying fast and loose, maybe get a couple more servers. You've really got to invest. And I know you're not broke because I'm paying $19 for one ticket to a movie that has ads running before it. So come on. I want so badly to empathize with Fandango and AMC, but they've really got to get on the ball. They can either be at war, as they claim they are, with streaming and with entertainment coming to our homes, or they can slack off, not invest in a large server farm and a CDN and cloud backups and all kinds of redundancies. Amazon never goes down, not even Prime Day, not Black Friday. And they sell, as it happens, something that is more specifically catered to corporations like movie theaters. Server space. Invest in it, people. Yes, I know parting with money can be difficult, but if you watch this trailer, spoilers aside, I think you'll understand the rush to purchase tickets. It does look pretty freaking awesome. Lastly, there were 2 stories I wanted to talk about on last night's podcast, but I avoided them, specifically because it was April Fool's Day, and I just couldn't get enough verification that I was like, all right, I'm going to run with this. Now I've got verification. The stories continue to run. It is clear that these things are true. They both involve, as it happens, the Joker. So yeah, this is one of my creepiest episodes from top to bottom. Opened with the chilling Pet Cemetery, touched down on the fear of purchasing server space, admittedly the least scary of all this stuff. But there's 2 stories involving the Joker. The first is that a photo has leaked or has been professionally leaked by the PR department of an image from the Gotham finale. I believe it was last week on this podcast that I mentioned that unlike Smallville, Gotham will end with a look at Batman as Batman. Not just Bruce with a little Bat logo t-shirt. It's him with the suit, the cape, the cowl, the ears, the whole thing. So that was an officially announced poster on the web a week ago. Yesterday, we got a still of the Joker. And when you first see him, you're probably going to go, wow, holy crap. That is a legitimately scary looking Joker. And for the most part, I would concur. The only thing I will say, First of all, it's Gotham, so you never know whether you're going to get something ridiculous or something pretty powerful and moving, something that actually contributes to the story. I find that, generally speaking, looking back at the past 5 years, it's been more of the former than the latter, but I'm always prepared for the latter, especially when they're going out. They want to go out on a very high note. But this Joker, they're trying to touch on sort of the scariest elements of every version of the Joker you've seen so far. So in many ways, this Joker, he's so chalk white and so full of lines and like leathery skin. He almost looks a little bit like Solomon Grundy. But then, this is more classic Joker, and it does not work. It doesn't fit. I mean, literally doesn't fit. He's got a prosthetic chin that is very distracting, like beyond Thanos level distracting chin. It is very prominent, and it's not like, oh, look at me, I'm a madman from the 50s. No, it is it belongs on a dark elf or something, this chin. It is way too long, sharp, and pointy. But I am really looking forward to seeing the finale of Gotham. I don't know that it's going to be any good, but I know that show has the potential for greatness, and I know that seeing Batman fight the Joker is something that I'm always up for, whether it be in any of these rather poor recent DC animated features, an amazing film like The Dark Knight, or a very spotty but occasionally great Gotham. Now, this too I feared was going to turn out to have been an April Fool's prank, but it wasn't. A new poster's been released for the Joker. By the Joker, I'm referring to the Todd Phillips directed Joaquin Phoenix starring solo feature coming out in October. The sort of Dark Horse Joker, as it were. Not Dark Horse Comics, but this seems interesting enough, sort of out of left field enough that I'm going to give it a shot. First of all, Joaquin Phoenix looks terrifying. Second of all, this movie also includes Robert De Niro in his very first comic book movie role, Mark Maron, Shea Wiggum, Zazie Beetz, Francis Conroy, Bill Camp, and Glenn Fleshler. And yesterday, an official new poster was released for the film. And as I said, being that it was April 1st, I didn't want to run with it. As it is, I will include a link to it in the description for tonight's podcast. And I'll probably make it the thumbnail for the podcast description. So depending on which host you're using to listen to this show, you might get a look at it even as you're listening to me speak right now. Joker, of course, hits theaters on October 4th. And I said that was going to be it, but one more thing. While we're talking about creepy things seen on the internet today, it has been almost universally a creep fest today, and I can't figure out for the life of me why. The day after April Fool's is not known, not that I know of anyway, as being a day in which one displays all their most horrifying fare. But that's what the internet has been for me today. Just fear after fear, chiller after chiller. Zac Efron as Ted Bundy in this upcoming movie called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. But how do you really feel? It is a movie that should chill you to the bone because it is based on real life. And from everything I've seen of the actual Ted Bundy, Zac Efron appears to have nailed him. Whatever else you think about this film, there are certainly moral and ethical reasons to be concerned about doing anything that might glamorize a monster like Bundy. I mean, a real piece of human shit. And yet, there is something about monsters like that obviously fascinates us. When you're not listening to the Matt Sager podcast, be honest. Do you spend a fair amount of time listening to, say, Serial, To Live and Die in L.A., all these true crime podcasts? You can deny it. But we want to get to the bottom of what makes people like this. Like it taps into something really horrific because it's something based on reality. Or, and this is my belief. I think that deep down, we're all afraid of people like this. I mean, of course we are. But I think we're hoping that if we find the right, most revelatory, best performance of someone portraying this character for us, that we might be able to learn to spot them so that we don't find ourselves, like, say, Ted Bundy's girlfriend, going to visit him in prison going, you didn't really do all that awful stuff you've been accused of, did you? Nobody wants to be that special someone to a serial killer. And again, there is a real risk. Even the Ted Bundy documentary that aired on Netflix not long ago, Ted Bundy himself was, I guess, a good-looking guy. And Netflix had to issue a release saying, please stop going on the internet and talking about how sexy Ted Bundy is. He is a piece of shit. He's a monster. Casting Zac Efron to really ham it up, tap into those self-glamorizing and preening instincts of Bundy is not going to help. But horror aside, monster notwithstanding, it does look like a terrifying and really enjoyable film. So I will attach a link to that as well. And thank you as always for hanging out with me tonight. Please get in touch with the Matt Sager podcast. You can email me, matt@mattsager.com, or call me at 646-535-4788. You can also get me on social media, where on Twitter I'm @MattSager, on Instagram I'm Real Matt Sager, and on Facebook I'm The Matt Sager. I've also got some pages there. My voiceover page is Matt Sager VO, and this podcast's page, which you should certainly like, is facebook.com/Matt Sager Podcast. Also, do check out my Patreon. There'll be a link to it in the description for tonight's podcast episode, but it's easy to remember too. It's patreon.com/Matt Sager. As for the rest, my voiceover reels and contact information, articles and blog posts I've written, social media handles and other ways to get in touch with me, and even episodes of this podcast. You can find that and more at my website, mattsagervoiceover.com.